I ain't Superman. I'm just a mortal chasing greatness. So there's a running joke between me and one of my friends about how my mortal is showing. We have this joke that they are immortal, they never get sick, they never get run down. You know, they can run on the most obscene small amount of sleep you've ever heard about. And then they function at this extraordinary level of capacity, like in their job and in everything. Just a phenomenal human being. And, you know, we talk about how I am mortal and I need sleep and I get sick and I'm tired and sometimes shit just hurts and it sucks. And we're having this conversation because, you know, I've been yawning a bit in my podcasts here. And we were having the discussion about it. And it made me think about that statement, though. Because they are. They're basically what, you know, demigods would be. If you brought them down from, you know, the heavens and they were blessed by the gods, it'd be the equivalent of, like, the skills of Hercules, kind of thing. And they just have this ability to function like nobody else I've ever met. But for the rest of us mortals here, that's just not the case. It's not the way. It's not how we are built. And it was that thing that, you know, as I said, I've been yawning in these podcasts. And the reason is because, well, I ain't no fucking Superman. I'm not this gifted man. I am not blessed with genetics or gifts or, you know, superhuman strength or any of these things. I'm just a man with a dream to chase greatness, to apply the ultimate level of discipline as best as I physically and humanly can. And I'm also in the thick of it. Like, you look at some of these guys who are like biohackers and the top level in the fitness game and the things they talk about and the things that they do, and they've got all these setups in their houses and all this kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, fucking goals, like that's what I aspire to be. I aspire to have that capacity that I have all those setups in my house, and I spend my life tinkering with health and fitness and the human body and seeing what's possible. You know, what's out there and what can be achieved and what can be done with, you know, discipline, grit, determination. But as for right now, I'm still in the thick of life. You know, I run my own personal training studio. I work on the floor, you know, 30, 40 hours a week, depending on the week. I still have to run all the marketing. I have to run all the things. I have 2 beautiful, perfect babies at home. You know, one is 3 and one is 2. And my son, my 2-year-old, will not sleep through the night without someone in his bed. And I don't know if you slept with a toddler, but it's like sleeping with a drunk octopus. It's not exactly a peaceful experience for you. And they often wake in the middle of the night, and, you know, he wakes up in the middle of the night and he needs a bottle, or he needs his nappy changed, or sometimes he just wants to be cuddled. And he rolls over in the middle of the night and you get this little hand on your face and he just says, "Daddy, I love you." And in those moments, all the level of exhaustion is 100% worth it. Because I know those days will not last forever. I know those moments will be fleeting. I know that it will come and go, that my son will wake up in the middle of the night and the thing that matters most to him in the world is telling his dad that he loves him. Those moments are not forever. So I deal with tiredness. I spend most of my days being fucking tired. And it's worth it. But it is that I am mortal. I am human. And I have a great affinity for Superman. For a lot of my life, I have associated with Superman and wanting to be that guy, to be Superman. To the point where my wedding ring is a Superman ring. That's the level that, I have associated with him. But I also reached a point, and I'm sure most men have reached that, when I kind of hit into my 30s and realized that I was not indestructible anymore. I was not bulletproof. That those injuries and the lack of sleep and all that kind of stuff takes its toll on you as a man. And yet, there is no other option other than to get up every fucking day and do the work. And I don't say this for sympathy or anything like that. I couldn't actually give two flying shits about that. I say that to show you that I am not different. I am not special. I am not gifted. I am not blessed beyond measure with natural inherent gifts. Don't get me wrong, I am blessed in my life. I have a wife. I have 2 beautiful babies. I have friends and family who love and adore me. I have a thriving business. I have friends and mentors to support me. I have a wife who supports me to chase my greatness. I am blessed beyond all measure. But at that starting point of this life, in what I'm doing here, I am not more blessed than you. I don't have something more than you. All I have is this, and grit and fucking determination, and the desire to chase this greatness. And I am not someone who's also so removed from reality in life. I work every day. I work a job. I work on my business, and I work to grow it, and I work to bring in new clients. I do sales, I do marketing, I do the programming, I do the running of the sessions, I do this. And yet the work on the physical side, the work on being the best man I can be, still gets done. It's not like my days are open-ended and I can just, totter away whatever time I want. No, I have to strategically plan when I get these workouts in. I got to strategically plan how to get them done and squeeze them into my day. And some days that means days are fucking brutal. Some days those days just suck. And one of the other days, and I was particularly yawny on that day, that was one of them. Like, I had been up all night with my son, and it was a combination of he was stirring a lot, he just wouldn't settle, and then that kicked me into a bout of insomnia. So from like 1 a.m. to 4 a.m, here I am, just laying in bed, wide fucking awake, but I can't leave, I can't go do other things, because then he'll wake up, and then that's a true disaster, and then he'll be cranky throughout the day. So I just laid there and ended up listening to some audiobooks. But the next day, to get everything in, meant that I had to get up at 5 a.m, go get my weighted walk-in before I went to work, before I went and did my sessions, and then work out at another point, which ended up being at night, after I'd finished my full work day, because that was the commitment. That was the deal. And once the decision is made, this is a Kobe Bryant one, and I always loved it, that once the decision has been made, there is no wiggle room. There is no changing. There is no adapting. There is just the work, and the work is fucking getting done. That's the end of the story. You just have to show up and do the work. So you decide ahead of time, when you're feeling good, when life is cruisy, when things are going well, you make that decision. And then come hell or high water, you are doing that. And that was the bargain I struck with myself 206 days ago. But, I am not superhuman in this. I am just a mortal who has chosen consistency, who has chosen grit and chosen that I am going to get this work done. End of story. And I think that's truly the separator. I think that is the thing that separates and defines levels of success and where you end up with it all. Because like I had a few people recently, and they were asked, they're like, oh, I'm amazed at how quickly you've managed to turn your physique around. Like, I love to see it. And I'm like, thank you. And they're like, how did you do it? And I was like, I just do the work. I spoke about it the other day. I just do this, but I just don't take any days off. I just do this every fucking day. It's not rocket science. It is not complex. In fact, it is downright simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. And once you ingrain it into yourself far enough, it becomes an interesting one to come out the other side. You know? So later this week is my wife's birthday. And so we're going out to a fine dining restaurant. Most likely going to be a 7-course dinner with paired wines and the whole thing. And I'm really looking forward to that, for the experience with my wife. Because I love, spending time with my wife and being there and being present. And, if you have toddlers or have had children, you know that it is rare to get some time to yourself on that. But I am also deeply concerned about the outcomes after that. Like, how hard that's going to kick me. How bad I'm going to feel the next day. And also what it will be like once I've tasted that. Just had a taste again. Because I would firmly identify myself in the camp of being a fucking addict. It's part of why I struggle to, break the other habits that I'm trying to break at the moment. The social media, the TV, the dopamine chasing, the instant gratification, even the spending of money, like those kinds of things, why I struggle to do them. Because I have an addictive personality. I am, for all intensive purposes, an addict. And I just cut myself off cold turkey on this one. But the other ones are always there. It's just at my fingertips. It's a much simpler and smaller fall from grace on that one. But now as I approach this, and it'll be 207 or 208 days or whatever it might be, when I'm choosing to have one of my designated 10 days off, I'm like, what happens on the other side? Is that next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Fucking hell. Because I've tasted it again. I've given myself a glimpse of that. And I want it. I want to have all those things. Like I've said to you before, I haven't given these things up because I don't like them. In fact, the exact opposite. I've given them up because I fucking love them. I have zero doubt in my mind that if my life had gone a slightly different route, if I had not been gifted a weight set for Christmas one year when I was 14 years old, that one, there is a possibility I'd be dead, but two, that I would be an obese, alcoholic, food addicted, potentially drug addicted man. That I would just sit on my couch and I would eat and I would stuff myself and I would drink and I would chase the dragon and I would chase that high every single fucking day, and I would just sit on that couch and I would do shit all. I have no doubt, that's why I talk about fitness is the greatest thing that you can ever do with your life. It saved my life. Not only did it save my life, it saved my life multiple times and then has defined my life. And yet, potentially 4, maybe 5 times in my life, I've let it slip through my fingers. I've let it slip away. I've let that discipline muscle lapse. And I lost sight of who I am. It's why I created this. I created this after my daughter's first birthday and just before my 30th birthday for the first time. Because I was staring down the barrel of a gun where I was like, who the fuck are you? I owned a personal training studio and I was fat as fuck. Any form of walking or cardio put me out of breath. In the previous 6 months, I'd spent a 5-day stint in hospital looking at my heart because it was skipping beats. And thankfully that was a false alarm. But that was deeply scary. That must have been 18 months. Because I was about to become a father. My wife was 6 months pregnant and was smack bang in the middle of COVID. And she can't be with me. She's isolated at home and we're forced to communicate by text message. I spent 5 days down there and in one of the procedures they stopped my heart and they got the dosage wrong on the anesthetic. And what should have been an hour or 2 out knocked me out for 36 hours. And my wife, who was 6 months pregnant, is stricken with worry because I was like, this is the procedure I'm going to do. There's a 1 in 1,000 chance I don't wake up. I'll text you when I wake up. It's supposed to be 2 or 3 hours, 36 hours later. And she has no contact. So I'd come off the back of that and I look at my daughter during her first birthday. And I was like, I'm going to turn 30, like a month after her first birthday. And I was like, this is what life's about. That perfect little angel. And that I wanted to spend as many of those birthdays with her as humanly possible. And I'm looking at who I was and how I was living. And I'm like, you are not going to get that. If you don't fucking change, you are not going to be blessed with that. So I created this. I created 126 to greatness. It was 126 because it takes 126 days to replace a negative habit with a positive one. And I fucking did it. And I went all in. And it worked. I got into the best shape of my life just after my 30th birthday. And I could look at my daughter and be proud of the man that was. And then life fucking happened. Because that happened in a microcosm. It happened during COVID. I had all the fucking time in the world. My day was my own. I was just at home and I could work out when I wanted. I could eat how I wanted. I could spend time preparing how I wanted. I could, I had an hour and a half morning routine and all this kind of stuff. And, I was doing it. It was great. And then the world opened back up and then my trainer left. And suddenly I'm back on the floor, running all the sessions, doing all the work. I was doing 40 to 60 hours a week, doing God knows what behind the scenes. And suddenly I'm back on the floor doing 30 to 40 hours minimum a week on the floor before anything else happens, before I sign clients, before I do programming, before I do marketing, before I do all the other stuff. And it all just fell to shit again. It just completely fell away. Because life, And I kept promising myself, and I kept promising myself, and I kept promising myself that I would do something about it. And then one day it just finally fucking snapped. And I think there's a good chance it probably came on the back end of my son turning 2. And airing some dirty laundry today, but my son was born 8 weeks preemie. We were not sure he was going to make it. And, we battled through. My wife spent 6 months in hospital with him, and I spent 6 months being a single dad. And that was a rough fucking time. But we as a family got through that. And then he turned 2, and I'm looking at myself again. I'm looking at this wake-up call from the fucking universe. And it's saying, you've been blessed here. What are you going to do with it? And that was it. And I couldn't continue to be that man. I couldn't continue to not step up for my family. To not fucking rise to the occasion. To not be the man that I know I am in here. To look into their faces and, if you've had children, you know that there is nothing, and I mean fucking nothing there, but love and adoration for you. And I didn't feel worthy. I was hollow. I wasn't the man I wanted to be. I was wearing this mask of who I was, and I couldn't be that anymore. I couldn't look into their faces and continue to be fat and out of shape and a hypocrite and telling them that they could be anything and do anything with their life, and looking at it and going, I'm barely fucking doing anything with my life. I'm just ticking the boxes. I'm just coasting by. And at some point, all of this is going to implode. At some point, all of this is going to give up. The business is going to fall apart. You're going to fall apart. If you continue down this road, you're probably going to drop dead by the time you're 45. And I couldn't do that to them. You know? Those 2 kids are the greatest blessings I've ever been given in my life. And so that's how I got here. That I took that wake-up call from the universe and I took it fucking seriously. And I decided that they weren't... The universe only knocks so many times before it gives up and moves on to the next person. There are only so many opportunities you get before they stop showing up. If you turn something away too many times, it just gets to a point it's like, well, he's not fucking interested. And I didn't want to be that guy. I knew I was meant for more. Knew I had to be more for them. So, no, I am not Superman. No, I'm not someone who is just genetically blessed. I was someone who was given many, many fucking opportunities in my life. And thankfully, I actually took one on. I took the wake-up call and decided to fucking go after it. And do what had to be done. And so, here I am. 205 days later. A fucking mortal trying to chase greatness. A mortal trying to reach God status. And I don't know what the fuck that looks like. I don't know if any of the things I have outlined in my head are even plausible. But what I do know is that I can lay my head down every single day and be proud of myself. That I can look into the eyes of my kids and be proud. And maybe somewhere along the lines I inspire someone. But I didn't want to leave this life wondering if I'd left it too late. Leave this life with untapped potential. So I started to chase it. And I think everyone deserves that opportunity. I think everyone should go out there and listen to the universe's call. And chase your greatness. Now, your greatness will be different to mine, but I firmly fucking believe to the depths of my soul that you cannot reach your highest level of greatness if you do not tap into your highest potential of your fitness and your health. Because how can you operate at the highest level if you are not in the best shape possible? if you are not healthy, if you are not physically fit and strong and full of energy and able to take on the world, if you do not exercise the mental toughness and the discipline and the focus that is required, how can you go chase your greatness, whatever that might be? You can't. You are leaving something on the table. And if you have children, or just a wife, or friends and family, they are counting on you, and they are looking at you to lead by example. So go lead by example. Go show them the way. Go show them what is possible. And just get after it. Yeah. So that's all I have for you today. I did not expect it to end up there. And that's the power of these podcasts, that there is as much for me as it is for you. Don't get me wrong, I fucking hope that I inspired you somewhere along the lines here. But if nothing else comes from this, I think I needed to get that out. I think I needed to share that, even with just myself. So I'm going to leave it there, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.